All right, we're live. I am Joshua Kemble, and this is my live stream where I work on comics. And particularly, I'm going to be working on a comic book for West Margin Publishing called Not Death But Love: The Strange Supernatural Case of Elizabeth Barrett Browning. It's a Sunday morning, so that'll be interesting to see if anybody shows up on the stream. I usually do these streams super late at night, but on the weekends, I'm trying to kind of do them throughout the day. And yesterday, I actually did a live stream and was going to live stream again to kind of work on some of these roughs for this book because it's a 230 page book. And I ended up getting caught up watching other people's live streams, starting with Gary Hodges, which I recommend you guys check out the live stream that he did yesterday. And then I think I was watching like Adam's channel and a bunch of people's channels and just kind of hanging out and drawing. And I realized today I didn't do any other live streams yesterday. So, and usually on the weekends, I want to kind of try to stream as much as possible just to kind of generate some content and also keep myself on task. So I will share a lot of the roughs that I got accomplished yesterday off air. And then we'll get into making some comics. But before that, first off, I guess I should probably explain who I am to people who might be tuning in for the first time. So I've been a professional graphic designer and illustrator for about 20 years. And I have done art direction professionally for about 8. So when I'm not art directing or doing graphic design and illustration, I am working on comic books. And I usually have an interest in making comics that are kind of following the literary ambitions of cartoonists. So a lot of these comics aren't going to be like the kind of thing you see in the mainstream, at least as far as like what you see in a lot of like on a lot of racks at comic shops. My interest is, Paul Pate's joining us, and he said drawing and listening. Awesome, Paul. I'm excited to see what you're drawing. Actually, I'm curious. What are you drawing? Let me know in the chats. So like my interest in comics is more of like trying to kind of do books that tell various amounts of stories, particularly trying to kind of the literary route of comics, which I know is its own kind of niche. But that's my ambition. I've done 2 graphic novels so far. So the first that I'll mention is the one that just came out like last month, Jacob's Apartment, which is a story about 2 young adults that are kind of seeking to find their identity. They're both roommates, and they're both pursuing ambitions in the arts. Jacob is trying to become a professional cartoonist, semi-autobiographical. So there are elements of Jacob that are representative of me, and then there's elements that are completely fictionalized. And then Sarah is trying to become a professional editor, and both want to be a part of books because books have basically played a role in their lives that kind of saved them. For Jacob, they had provided him a way to kind of escape the bullying that he experienced as a kid. He liked the fact that, like in comics, particularly superhero comics, he could kind of imagine and envision a world in which heroes could win and there was justice, unlike the injustice he experiences as a kid. Sarah like escapes through literature to kind of get away from an abusive family situation. And so both of them have this like very heartfelt connection to art and books, and both are kind of pursuing that as people do in their early 20s. Jacob is hit with a curveball when he finds out that his father dies of cancer, and this causes him to reel and question his identity as well as his faith as a Christian. And so he starts going through some heavy theological questions. And in the meantime, Sarah is sort of questioning herself because of the collapse of a relationship with her ex-boyfriend. Both of them are in these kind of identity challenging moments. And as they're both experiencing this, and they're pursuing their dreams, questioning their identity, they're having these very vivid dreams. And the dreams start interweaving with reality. And it makes for a really interesting doomed romance story. So I will tell you guys, like if you were to take Eternal Sunshine for the Spotless Mind, put it in a blender with Ghost World, and you like the flavor of that, it's not the same as those books, but if you like the flavor of that, chances are you'll really enjoy Jacob's Apartment. And it's out in bookstores everywhere. And if you want to support indie comics, the best thing you can do is go to your local bookstore and request that they carry Jacob's Apartment. I just got word back from my publisher too, and they're very happy with the sales numbers for the first month. And this is Graphic Mundi. They're putting out brilliant books. I've shown them on stream before, but like the COVID Chronicles, they had 2 Eisner Award winning, or not winning, nominated comics this year. Unfortunately, neither picked up the Eisner, but it was tough competition. And just the fact that they had 2 nominated on their slate is really cool. I recommend checking out Graphic Mundi in general. Kendra, the editor, is probably one of the best editors I've ever met in comics. And if I don't say so myself, the fact that she is one of the best editors and she picked this book should attest to that as well. So make sure you pick up this book. You don't want to miss out on it. And I will tell you guys, there's first printings. And so you might want to pick it up before it goes out of print. It's not close to going out of print. But my point is, I've definitely had moments. This is a good example. Years ago, I read David Chelsea in Love by David Chelsea, and I loved the book. I read it at a comic shop. I never picked it up. And then I remember it took me about 10 years to get a hold of a copy. Luckily, in the day and age of Amazon, that's a possibility. But I'm just saying, like, it's not a bad idea to go out there and pick this up and also support this channel and my art. This would be the book to pick up. Also, if you haven't yet, and let's say you're on a budget and that's way outside of your budget, there is 2 stories, which is a good introduction to my work. This is my first graphic novel, and this is book 1. There will be a book 2 that I need to complete after I'm done with this graphic novel I'm currently working on. But this is a fully autobiographical comic that talks about my journey learning how to navigate manic depression. It talks about really heavy issues. This is definitely not an all ages book, but it deals with the kinds of struggles you have as a kid versus the types of struggles you have as an adult. And sort of, so it goes from like childhood depression over playground politics to more serious matters like, suicidal ideation due to relationship problems. And it's a very confessional, kind of embarrassing book. Like it definitely reveals some details about myself that I'm not proud of, but I'm very proud of the book. I don't know if that makes sense, but if you're into really confessional work like American Splendor or the early work of like Robert Crumb, and the traditions of autobio comics like Blankets by Craig Thompson. This would be like right along those lines, and honestly, you can get this for like a really cheap rate on Amazon. I have no idea how they've been able to do it, but again, like I don't know, quite often this comic will cost less than $10, and I still get the same percentage of royalty off of it. So if you decide to go through Amazon on this, I wouldn't blame you, especially if you have Prime, because you'll get free shipping. And I get the same cut for the sale of the book, so you're not ripping off the artist. And honestly, it gets you the book. And if you like this book, because it's such a great deal, one of the best things you could do is like take the money you would have spent on the actual cover price of this book and spend that on Jacob's Apartment. So those are my 2 books that are out. And now we're going to get into making my 3rd graphic novel, which might be my 4th. We'll see how time allows. Because like this is due in 2023, and it won't be released till 2024. And it's going to come out as a hardcover, which I'm really excited about. I don't think I've ever had a hardcover. I have had a hardcover book. Like I did an illustrated book years ago called Barbarians, a handbook for aspiring savages that came out through Insight Editions. But I've never had one that was a comic that I fully made and I was a co-creator on. And so this Not Death But Love book, I'm really excited about, because I do think when we get to that point, of like once I'm a little further, obviously much further on the interiors, and we're doing like the book design for the exterior. I'm really excited to see what all we can get away with. Maybe we can have metallics or something like that. I'm very excited about it. Anyhow, point being, that book's due. This book that I've been working on stream is due in April, and it's 230 pages. But once this book is done, my goal is to kind of hop straight to finishing up Two Stories Book 2. And what's weird is I might end up, that might put us in a position where by 2024, I might have 2 new graphic novels out. That's my goal. We'll see if I can hit it. Right now, I'm mainly just trying to focus. I'm always thinking big picture as an illustrator or an artist, but it's also really important not to get too focused on like the giant picture and kind of lose track of the trees. Weirdly enough, like you can lose the forest for the trees, but you can also lose the trees for the forest. And my goal here is to like have at least this book done. So let's see if we can get through this book, and then I'll try to hopefully finish Two Stories Book 2 after that. Although I am really excited about Two Stories Book 2 because the whole book is completely roughed out, and there's about 20 finished pages that I have for that before this West Margin Not Death But Love deal came through. So I am really excited to kind of get back to that. But right now I'm in the thick of this book, so let's get into it. And that was a lot of data and information. Sorry, that was a long pitch. 10 minutes. I'm trying to keep those down to like 3, but I'm excited about it. And hopefully that excitement translates to you guys. Paul said he was working on samurai animation. Oh, that sounds awesome, Paul. Paul Pate, really good artist. I recommend you guys get his Detective Sanchez stories. They're very good. I have them on a pile of books that I need to read. This is the downside of being a comic creator on a tight deadline. I have a stack of books. Paul's is at the top. I've gotten about 3 chapters through it, and then I had to just put it aside because like I just have no time. In fact, this morning I was sitting down to read a graphic novel for like 5 minutes, and my wife very justifiably was like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "I was just going to read." And she's like, "No, you need to be working." I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's true." So anyhow, so that's kind of the scenario I'm in, where I really, to get the deadline, I just have to be cranking on pages every 3 minutes. But that's okay. It's a year's sacrifice for a full graphic novel. I think that's a worthy payoff. All right, let's get into it. So this is the thumbnail that I started yesterday. We're on page 27, just to catch us up with where we're at on the plot. Let me have a sip of coffee real quick. So, okay, we've seen Elizabeth Barrett Browning's. I like to do this recap before I do a rough too, because it helps me get in the mind space, the mind palace that I need to be in, because this is the most important, probably the most important part of comics. I don't know, Paul, if you'd agree, but I think that the rough stage, the thumbnail stage and the rough stage are kind of like they're going to be the director that dictates the whole visual outlook and the emotion. And like, it's where you really write as a cartoonist. It's why, like, you know, you usually get co-creator credit on a script, because you're taking a script and you're making it a visual reality. And so it's like that moment from script to visual. Most of the core important stuff is going to happen in the roughs and the thumbnails, at least in my process. The finish is pretty like rote after that. Like, it's fun, and the finish is probably the most fun part to me, like the drawing and the inking and like the coloring, where you start seeing it get to this like finished, pretty pristine product. But this part that we're working on now is like the core part where like the writing comes in. Yeah, and Paul said, yes, that's the acting stage of the art. Exactly, because you're figuring out the emotion, you're conveying the sequences, you're figuring out the panel pacing. So really, this part that we're working on is like the funnest, and that's one of the most, well, not the funnest, but the most important, even though it might be the like one of the least fun. Although it is kind of fun because it's like a blank slate. Everything after that is a little more pinned in. But anyhow, yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Paul put it in a much more less verbose way. One of the things I said this on Gary's stream. I definitely said this on Artcasters when we had Gary on. Not Gary. We had Jim Lujan on and Corey Kerr, and Corey Kerr just like went on this 20-minute just brilliant statement about like psychological facts, and it was so concise and just spelled out and brilliant. And I just kind of was pointing out to him and to Jim, like, I really appreciate that I have friends that are way smarter than I am and are way better at being concise and describing things very well, where it's like, for me, it takes me 50 words to say something that sometimes people can say in like one. And so I really appreciate that. And I also acknowledge that that might be an irritating thing about my own personality, where it takes me like 10 words to say something that can be said in one. But Paul would be another person who's really good at like conveying ideas in a very well communicated and concise way. And even that was a long-winded way of me saying Paul's smart, and that's a really good way of putting what I'm talking about, the acting stage of art. Okay, let's get into this. So I was going to recap the plot. So we have Elizabeth Barrett Browning's brother. We're introduced at first to, I think it's Torquay, England, the bay, and we see this man. We don't know it's Elizabeth's brother yet, and he's out on the ocean with some friends on like a, what we found out was like a racing yacht at the time, like a small racing yacht. Because the larger yachts just didn't seem right. And it took forever for us to locate a historically accurate one. But we find out we're in Victorian England, and we see the boat capsize. We don't know why. And then we see the aftermath. And then we see Bro, her brother, who we don't know is Bro yet, drown. Then we flash forward to 50 Wimpole Street, where we are introduced to the Barrett's residence. And we see an ominous man with a letter right outside. Then we flash forward to the interior of 50 Wimpole Street. We're introduced to Elizabeth Barrett Browning. She's reading this letter, or not reading a letter. She's reading a poem. Sorry, I don't even think she's reading a poem. Sorry, we see the caption of one of her poems. That the book is actually named after, Not Death But Love. And the poem's about her brother basically dying at sea and then her falling in love. So it's like she's kind of anticipating death, and then she's surprised to find love rather than death. And then we're introduced to Robert, who is the love mentioned in the poem, Robert Browning. And Robert is courting Elizabeth. And we also find out that Wilson, the maid, is kind of helping facilitate this, as well as caretaking for Elizabeth, because she's very sick and she's being dosed with laudanum, which is opium. And at the time in Victorian England, that's how they treated a lot of mental illness or just any sort of disorder. They're like, we don't know what it is, throw opium at it, which is a weird... very unhealthy way to treat disease, and can actually lead to the symptoms that it's trying to cure. But anyhow, so then we're introduced. We find out that Elizabeth's father is trying to caretake for Elizabeth, but definitely like a little controlling and creepy about it. And then we find out that Elizabeth and Robert elope. So Robert sends Elizabeth a letter saying, "Hey, we planned this. Let's elope. Let's get married." So they elope without her father's approval, and head to Elizabeth writes her father a letter. Her father's so mad about it that he rips her portrait off the wall. And they're at like their own flat. Like 50 Wimpole Street is like a pretty wealthy area. So so that's it. And then from there, we have, my goodness. So 50 Wimpole Street, From there, we go to what is it after 50 Wimple? My brain is okay. So then we're brought to a boat. They're on a steamship. Robert and Elizabeth head to Italy, and then we are introduced to the Bay of Italy. We see Genoa, Italy from the ship, and Robert and Elizabeth have arrived finally at Casa Guidi, which is their flat in Italy. And Elizabeth looks out the window and sees a protest kind of parade that's going to the Capitol. I believe it's the Capitol, but it's like a building that's like a government building that's visible from their thing, and I'm blanking out on the name of it off the top of my head. But that protest that she views actually inspires, like, if we're familiar with Elizabeth Barrett Browning's poetry, one of her most famous poems is called Casa Guidi Windows. And we will know in retrospect, it's like a little nod to people who do know Elizabeth Barrett Browning, that this is the moment that she's seeing what will inspire Casa Guidi Windows. But if we're not familiar, again, like the thing I love about this book, you don't have to know about the Brownings to enjoy the book, but it definitely has a lot of nods. So that was basically that. And then we see Robert and Elizabeth have a romantic moment, which is kind of a relief after all of this ominous just sadness, where her brothers died at sea, her father's disappointed in them, they're on this horrible trip, and finally at Casa Guidi there's light, and the way I've been drawing it, it like brightens up when it gets to that sequence. So we've seen now like they're actually having kind of a wedding night type of weekend in Italy, and that brings us to the page we're at. So I'll just walk through the roughs that I did. So we have Wilson. Wilson is walking onto a street market, and then Elizabeth is in the foreground holding a fan, fanning herself. The next one is Wilson is, like, we see Elizabeth on the far right, and she is kind of leaning against an awning, and not clearly kind of fanning herself. And then we see Wilson saying, "Good morning, how much?" or "Buongiorno, quanto?" And we're actually going to have some translations. Most of the time, I don't like having translations when there's another language being spoken, but in this case, like where there's important information that you'd otherwise not know if, like, I don't speak Italian, and buongiorno I would know, but like quanto, I don't know if everybody knows that. So again, we're gonna kind of have a translation on this sequence. Okay, here we have Elizabeth. Oh no, Elizabeth's falling. She kind of loses her footing, falls and knocks over this apple barrel. And we have this vendor who's kind of noticed this event. Wilson has rushed to her side to help her up and says, "Ma'am." Okay. Then these are the ones I roughed out off stream while I was listening to both Gary Hodges' stream and then a couple of Adam's streams, where it says, we have the mad vendor, right? He's like, "What the heck?" And Wilson is helping Elizabeth up. Wilson angrily turns to the vendor and says, "Can't you see the lady is ill?" And I'm not even going to try to read that in Italian. And then she's kind of giving the look at the vendor, and the vendor is grabbing this barrel and then offering it. Like, I think he has a moment of like, maybe that was off base, and offers her the barrel to sit on. Wilson seats Elizabeth on the barrel and says, "Is it the heat?" And Elizabeth is saying, "I feel quite dizzy." And then Wilson is dabbing Elizabeth's forehead with a whatever those are called. You guys help me out if you're listening in the chats. What is it called? It's a... I can't believe I'm blanking out on what that's called. So anyhow, she's dabbing her forehead. Somebody will say it. I can't believe I've lost that very basic. Oh, a handkerchief. Nobody said it yet, but a handkerchief. So she's dabbing her forehead and she's saying, "Hey, you've been faring well since we came to Florence, but that's 4 dizzy spells this week and you haven't been eating. And then Elizabeth says, I can't bear to smell the food. And Wilson says, I don't understand. And then again, Elizabeth says, it's the sun. Help me home to Robert. Everything is right when it's just the two of us. And then now Wilson's kind of clued into what's going on. Thank you, Corey. Corey said, handkerchief. Also, Dee Dee said, the page looks complicated and detailed. Yes, that page 27, I think, was the one you were commenting on. And yes, it does look complicated and detailed. I do not think it will be just the two of you for much longer. Okay, and then we've got page 29. Okay, so we know now, I mean, I think you guys can read between the lines, but Elizabeth is pregnant. Okay, so now Elizabeth is writing letters to her brother, and then we see her in the Casa Guidi house. This is like another one I roughed out, I think, while listening to Adam. And this is in the Casa Guidi, kind of the main room. And then Elizabeth looking out the window, and we see, oh, she's a little pregnant. And then it goes to a different time period, which will be signified by there's a costume change on this too. And she's saying, do you think, Arabelle, that Papa will forgive me at last? And then we flash, she's kind of stands up to like stretch, and we see, whoa, she's way more pregnant. And then finally, it's the roof of Casa Guidi. All of this is referenced. And it's a sunset over Italy. Again, all of these pages are going to be a nightmare to do the finish. Because again, it's like crowd scene. Like, hey, let's have a crowd scene in Italy and a market. Let's have a vista view of Italy with the sunset. But it's going to be worthwhile to finish these, but they're going to take forever. But yeah, we see Robert and Elizabeth, they're reading together. And then if you look carefully, you'll notice that Elizabeth is super pregnant. So that's where we're at. So now we're going to have page 30. And we're going to rock and roll. So that catches us up. And now we're on page 30. And we might have to, these are thumbnails. And if you guys are familiar and have been on, like, you know, I think Dee Dee, Paul, Corey, I think you guys have all been there when I've been doing this. This is going to take some research potentially. So let's see what we have to do first. And again, like the way I start these pages every time is like I kept the borders. I copied a template. And this is really important. We're on page 30. So that's going to be a right side of a page, right? Everything on the left. Wait. Make sure I'm getting that right. Hold on a second. I knew that was off. Okay, sorry, let me correct that. This is why it's really good to remember odds and evens. So, okay, page 30. Oh, Dee Dee was saying, give us something to research. I love it. I will. So page 30, like the even pages are actually always going to be on the left side. The odd pages are always going to be on the right, because page 1 is going to be a right facing page. That's usually how books work. So generally, like the first page in a novel, page 1 is going to be on the right side. So that means all my odd pages are going to be on the right, and my even pages are going to be on the left. And the reason that's important is when I am copying these templates, let me show the, and this is before I've gone like and placed it into, eventually, you know, when we're doing the book design, we're going to be, this will be placed into InDesign like most books, right? But until then, I have set up guides that are showing my safe area and my bleed, right? And you'll notice, because this is a left side page, because it's even, that the bleed is on the left side, and that the gutter is allotted for on the right side with no bleed, because you're not going to be bleeding out from the gutter. Because eventually these will all be part of a spread where that gutter meets another, like, you know, page. I hope that kind of makes sense. Anyhow, let's get into it. So what I usually start with this, and if you guys are listening and you're interested in helping with the research, I really appreciate and Corey said you're not planning on having advertisements for candy bars and military recruitment randomly jammed into the book. I don't know. I don't know where that where that comes. Is that a social media comment, or is that, did you get an ad for candy bars and military recruitment on my channel? That would be hilarious though. But anyhow, I think that, yeah, I think graphic novels don't tend to have ads in the books. Here's another thing. Actually, we were talking about, man, that's going to send me on a tangent. But we were talking about kind of like one of the benefits, like Adam and I have been in a discussion a little bit on and off about kind of graphic novels versus comic books and floppy comics. And I have a nostalgic love for floppy comics. Like, you know, just the traditional like 20, 24 page comic book. But one of the things that I think a lot of us, like, if you take the nostalgia out of it, there is like a crass marketing that's involved with the interior of traditional comic books that actually a lot of graphic novels have kind of compensated and fixed. And that's the fact that, like, Corey said, sorry. Yeah. So that's what that's what he was referencing. Okay. That's what I thought. So I guess Corey and I are on the same page. But like, one of the things that's great about a graphic novel versus a traditional comic book is that traditional comic books would often pay for themselves with like advertising, or they would pay for themselves and then make a massive just extra profit for selling advertising within the comic books. But like, one of the beauties of like a classic a graphic novel is you can read the book front to back with like no advertisement, no interruptions, like you just have a book. So it's treated more like a literary thing. Although there is still a wonderful thing about those old comic ads that I am nostalgically attached to, but I'm not sure how much of that is like me. I mean, like the Atomic Sub ad, like if you guys are ever bored, look up the Atomic Sub advertisement, where you can order your own Atomic Sub. There's actually a really good book that was published by Insight Editions that collected a lot of those comic book ads. And I think it was called like X-Ray Specs, or it has, I know it has like the X-Ray vision glasses ad on the cover. I'll have to find out the name of that. Okay. And then Corey was saying, sorry, deep cut. One of the benefits of indie books is you know which pages will be where because there's no ads. Agreed. Most indie books. Then again, I mean, like some of the, like one of the some of the Kickstarter, like this is one of the things that annoys me about crowdfunded books is like, dude, indie creators need to start finishing books, or at least being close to finished, before they start kickstarting or Indiegogo going, because like there is a group of people out there that are not finishing books after they're funded. And that just gives the entire indie community a bad name. And it actually kind of makes my blood boil a little bit, because that's worse than like shoving ads throughout your book. Like, if you have people paying you money for a book, you better have a product to give them. Yes, Sea Monkeys. I love those things. Yeah, and the Sea Monkey ads. I still have I have a soft spot for like Underoos, just because, like, dude, as a kid, almost every comic I read would be like, get Spider-Man Underoos. And I'm like, I don't know, those do sound pretty cool as a kid, but the ads were just hilarious. Anyhow, okay. And also, I still have a romantic notion of Mile High Comics in Colorado because of comic books. It's like, I went there as a kid, and the reason I went there was like every comic I had read for like 7 years was like, it's Mile High Comics. Like, and I was like, I had this fantasy in my head, just imagining that it's like this mecca of comic book stores, which, by the way, it is a really cool comic book store. But it's never going to match like the fantasy that comes up in your head as a kid reading those things. Okay, back to work. So page 30, it's a tranquil afternoon outside Casa Gaidi, and then break for Underoos ad. Okay. we got that. So I'm going to have, I'm going to basically put, that being said, you know, like I do monetize my YouTube channel, and I have no issue with that because I actually think it's kind of cool. It's a cool way for creators to kind of make an income on it. So, Paul Pate just said, you just hit on why I don't really like crowdfunding. I'd gladly pay for the book, even a high price. So crowdfunding doesn't really make sense to me. Yeah. And the thing is, I think crowdfunding can make sense. It's just that if you're crowdfunding for a book, you better have the book done. That's the only thing I'm saying is like, be like, at least at minimum, be like 90% done with the book. But ideally, you should have the book done. So like the second you hit your funding, it goes to the printer. And then the second it comes from the printer, you send it to the people who funded it. Like, you know what I mean? I just think that's the best scenario. Cause like making people wait like half a year to get something they crowdfunded, again, like, I don't know. Yes. Corey said, I'm cool with crowdfunding when it's a pre-order of a finished product. 100%. Now, there are people I know who are creators who are like completely trustworthy and they want the funding to like pay for artists or pay for like expenses as they make it, and they've reliably proven themselves. And so like in that case, I might crowdfund that kind of thing. But in general, yeah, I don't like crowdfunding promises, hopes, and dreams. But it's like if somebody I knew who had like a good track record was crowdfunding something that they needed the funding to do, I might actually be interested in that. But I too many times we'll see our you know, like, I don't know. I've heard, honestly, it's never really happened to me, but I've heard stories from friends, very good friends, who like funded a comic and then the thing never got done and the money never came. It's the weirdest thing. It's just very dishonest business practice, you know, like that kind of thing. You don't have people buy a bridge, okay? We're not selling bridges, we're selling comics. And if your comic starts becoming bridge sales, then you're screwing it for all of us who actually have books, you know? Anyhow, why am I on a, man, I've been like saucy and angry lately. Have you guys noticed that? I think I'm just off kilter. I've been, I don't know, guys, hot take. People not giving customers a product they paid for makes me mad. That's my hot take. If somebody pays for a product, give them the product. Okay. Hot take, you guys. I know. I'm here all day making hot takes that'll shock the world. Okay. Coffee, caffeine, good. Okay, back to the comic. It's interesting when you're in a role and you're making momentum on art. Like one thing I've noticed is my brain is just like discombobulated mess, but I'm focused. Dee said, probably because you weren't feeling well and your dog died. Sheesh, Josh, give yourself a break. I did give myself a break, and I'm very proud of that. For me, one night, like I actually spent a night and rested, and that was it. And I thought about my dog, who I miss, and he was a sweetie. I showed him on stream like last week. That was kind of sad. I was making the thumbnail for that video where I like picked him up and was like, oh, this is CK, and showed everybody, and like he literally died like 2 days later. It was kind of a bummer. But I can't explain it. It's like I've lost pets before, but I'm kind of okay with it. And I don't think this is like a dealing with loss kind of thing. It's like I'm sad about it, but it's like I think the fact that he was older, I think the fact that he was kind of older when it happened and like wasn't in a lot of pain, and it was just like very quick where his body was just like, nope, done. And we're like, okay, because we kind of expected that something would come up soon because he's like 15 years old, which is pretty old for a dog. So in a weird way, just the fact, I know it's corny and it sounds cliche, but it's like the fact that it wasn't like extended suffering, and the fact that it was very clear cut. Like there wasn't a lot of like questions of like, oh, should we like keep him around and throw in a ton of money to like get him surgery or something? It's like none of that was even an option. So it's like that to me was like a relief. But yeah, he'll be missed. You know, he was a sweet little dude. And it is weird. You know, there's definitely, you know, it's like losing anyone or thing where, you know, when you've been around something for like 15 years, it's like there's just weird moments where I'll like walk out of the room and kind of expect this sort of thing that I like engagement with my dog that I'm used to, and that's gone. So it's a little sad, but it's not like I need to take off work kind of sad. Also, I'm one of those people who, if I ever like have like a sad situation, I tend to double down on work. That's one of the ways I get through things, as well as like prayer and you know, like reading the Bible and all that fun stuff. Um, okay, it is a tranquil. I like the idea though. I know like biblically, technically, there's no like they don't know like the Bible doesn't necessarily say there's like a heaven for animals, but I liked the idea that C.S. Lewis posited that that you know like animals like kind of like they might have their own narrative. It was really interesting. But I think his premise was that there might be like there's the whole story of salvation for man, but Lewis had this kind of figurative idea in Mere Christianity where he was saying there might be like maybe God has like a million different stories for different animals and beings and stuff like that. Like maybe they have their own story of redemption and their own kind of way of achieving salvation. I don't know. It's interesting. It's a fun thought. But yeah, I like to think that CK's up there with Dozer. That's basically what I'm thinking. If it's wishful, whatever, it makes me feel better. So, yeah, I hope Corey's healing up too. Corey you seem to be doing a little better, buddy. Okay, let's write this out. So it's a tranquil afternoon outside Casa Guidi. Okay, so this is going to be one Casa. Wow. Interior. There was a computer lag. Okay. What I do for anybody who might be tuning in for the first time or like watching this after the fact, what I'll do is I usually make a list of what I'm going to thumbnail first. So I'll make a list, I'll make a quick thumbnail, and then I'll rough it out. And usually it doesn't take me this long. Dee Dee said, "Be right back, phone." All right. All right. So let's see here. Casa interior. Wilson throws open the front door. So this is going to be Wilson open front door. All right. So Corey said, so far I'm good. I'm off the meds for over a week now and no cough or anything has resurfaced. That is awesome, dude. That is really good news. Okay. 3. Young Italian boy ambles by. What does ambles by mean? I'm going to have to think of a way to get the Italian boy ambling by where it doesn't feel like somebody off, like if this were a movie where it doesn't feel like somebody offset is like, go walk past the window. Like, you know what I mean? Because it might just feel out of place if some random kids just, okay. This is fun though. Okay. Wilson grabs collar. I want this to be really exaggerated and almost funny. Grabs collar and says, fetch the doctor. But I want her to be like, I don't know. This will be a good moment of animation. This will be dialogue. 5. Places coin in palm. We got to research the coin. And 6. He runs away. Boom. Okay. So we're going to need to look up the Casa interior. Sorry, not interior. This will be exterior. We need to have, well, we know what Wilson's going to be wearing because we have her Italian costume. I need to look at what like a young Italian boy is randomly going to look like. I don't know why there's honking going on outside. I might have to go peek at that. Wilson grabs collar, places coin in palm. Okay, I'm going to look up the coin. Like what kind of coin? It's probably not going to be English money at this point. They're in Italy. Or were they taking, I don't know. It'll be interesting to find out. So if you guys want to find out, what would be like a coin you would tip a kid with, like to go send a message or whatever in Italy in 18. Hold on. Let me look through my notes here to find the specific. I know we're in the 1840s. Let's just say 1840s. Or wait a minute, maybe we're in the 1850s because 1840 was when her brother died. 1846. In 1846, Bill and Ted went on a most excellent. Okay, anyhow, let's thumbnail this real quick, and then I'm gonna do the trailer for Jacob's apartment. So I'm going to call this layer thumb. Who has two thumbs and is doing thumbs? This guy. That joke will never be repeated outside of this stream because it was so bad. But I'm here all day. I think that was a worthy joke. I don't know. Okay, I'm gonna go real quickly, just peek at what all this honking is, just to make sure there's no like craziness outside the door. I will be shortly back, you guys. You know what we'll do? We'll just go ahead and do the trailer right now, so you guys aren't bored while I go check and make sure there's no crazy people outside. So here is the trailer for Jacob's apartment. Clearly it seems that only in dreams can we these things we've seen and walk around breathing things. I don't know the part to play in this heart of mine. There's dissonant things, they split at the seams. All right, if you guys want to get a head start I'll be doing this research anyway, but if you guys find it before me, that'd be cool. I need to find the Casa Gaidi exterior. I know it's on Google Earth, and that's probably where I'll go if I don't find good reference photos of it online. I need to find the outfit of a young Italian boy in 1846, like probably not super wealthy kid, like a street kid, I guess. It'd be like, the please, sir, I would like some more type guy, you know? In fact, I might even want to look at like A Christmas Carol, because I think that takes place around the same era in time. I know that even to find the exterior shot for Italy, there was a painting that was inspired by Charles Dickens that was heavily referenced for that. Let's see here. We have places coin in palm. So I need to find the coin. Like, what kind of coin would you tip a kid with in Italy? Also, Paul Pate said, Corey, I just signed up for your email. I feel like it took me too long. I would encourage everybody to do that. And Paul, just to make you feel better, I feel like Corey and I are pretty good friends at this point in our friendship. Although it would be funny if in the comments he's just like, I don't even know this guy. I don't know what he's talking about. But anyhow, I don't think I had signed up for Corey's list, or if I had, I double signed up just to make sure, because I realized I was like excited about seeing his comic on Instagram, and it took me like a day after it had posted to see it, his last comic, and I was like, I need to just be on the mailing list. I don't know why I wouldn't be on Corey's mailing list. So if that makes you feel better, Paul, either I'm a really bad friend, or it's okay that it took you a while to sign up for his mailing list. But I will say, everybody, you should sign up for Corey's mailing list, because he's going to be notifying every time that there's a new comic out, and he's doing like a weekly, I think it's weekly, right, Corey? Yeah, comic that you guys can check out. Okay. So I want to visualize what the Casa Gaidi exterior looks like, but for right now, I mean, I'm pretty sure I kind of remember. And Dee Dee said, that's good, Corey, and I signed up too, Paul. Yeah, you guys should be signed up, and I should have been signed up too. Again. But yeah, also Corey has some really good thoughts. I'm just saying, he has some really good thoughts. Again, like probably one of the smartest guys I know. This guy, he's a wise guy, okay? That's all I'm saying. I don't know why I'm talking like this. Okay. So here we go. We're going to have the exterior of Casa Gaidi, which I believe is like kind of a triangular sort of building. I think that there's like windows. The funny thing is those giant windows look really small from the exterior. But I know it comes to like a point. It's an interesting corner of a building. Dee Dee was saying he thinks through. I think she was basically making the point that he thinks through what he's saying, and I agree with him. I am a person who I think out loud. And so I'm definitely one of those guys, like, if, again, like I do this show for more than just Christians, right? But I'm pretty open about the fact that even though I'm not like, I wouldn't call myself like a person like in the camp of like most American Christians, but I am in the camp of Jesus Christ. Like, I believe in Jesus. I believe that he died for my sins, and all of like, basically, if I went through a list of all the theological requirements to call yourself a Christian, I would be like ticking off all the things on the list. I just wouldn't be ticking off all the political things that people have grouped with Christianity. But anyhow, so the reason I say that is, when I mention, my faith and stuff, I'm not trying to like proselytize. I'm just bringing up stuff from my life. But one thing that's funny from the way I communicate, every time I read Psalms or sorry, Proverbs, not Psalms. When I'm reading the Proverbs and there's all these Proverbs about like people with quick speech or people with too many words, I'm like, I feel super convicted because I believe I'm probably autistic and I tend to like over explain and I have trouble thinking interior. Like I just, it's a skill I've had to develop. It didn't come naturally. I think out loud. I just have a better time kind of thinking through an issue or an idea very out loud. And I'm a very verbal thinker. And so, but according to like Proverbs, I'd be considered a fool for sure. So it's like one of those things where I have tried to kind of gauge my foolishness with my speech. But I also I know that also as a Christian that God kind of designed me the way I am, and that I am just a very verbal person. And it has the benefit of you pretty much, if you know me, you know what I think. Like I don't have a really good. I'm not a good liar. I'm not saying I don't lie because that's a liar's statement. Like a liar says they don't lie, but I'm a terrible liar. I can say that. Whenever I've tried, it just never works out. Because again, like I kind of tend to whatever's going on internally, I tend to communicate it like just like right out, like thought to speech. Um, but it also makes for interesting conversations because like one of the things I like to do is consider perspectives and kind of put them through the ringer to see if they hold up, like because I feel like that's a very biblical idea too, is like the idea of iron sharpening iron. So yeah, anyhow, that's about me being a terrible communicator. Let's see here. So Casa exterior, so this is going to be the Casa Guide exterior. I don't think that angle's gonna work. I'm just doing a thumbnail right now. This isn't a rough, but you want it to be, because if it's like a worm's eye view, that's not really gonna work too well. I think we're gonna have to do, maybe it's like an overhead shot of it. That's what we'll do. Okay. And it's like it's a strange building. But whatever. It's a thumbnail. There's like kind of a thing here. We'd see a little bit of where they were sitting. Okay, great. It's like 50 times taller than that, but that'll get the point across for the thumbnail. Okay, and then it's going to say Wilson opening the front door. I'm guessing it's going to be the front door on this side. From what I've seen of Casa Guide, the other side, like if you went down here, there's that piazza where she witnessed the thing. If you went down here, I think that heads to like a different section. But there's a whole bunch of buildings here. So right, actually, if we saw like the layout, you'd have like the piazza thing kind of over here. So if you headed out that door that Wilson will be and went that way, you'd be like right where that protest was going on. Which I think I looked more into that after drawing it, and I think that was a unity rally. I think that Italy at the time, I think, was broken into like multiple provinces and kind of warring factions. And there was this unify movement where they were kind of trying to get Italians to all be like one unified Italy. And I think this is like some of the buildup to like what will eventually kind of cause like issues in World War One. But that's what I gathered was that when they're saying like somebody on a stream was asking like what they were kind of saying, and I wasn't sure what the rally was, so I looked it up. Okay, Wilson's gonna open the front door here. I think I'm gonna have I want some dynamism. Side with the door open on. Okay. I want this to be a little dynamic, but I'm wondering if it should it be like from above? No, below because that'll create tension. Okay. So it's gonna be like looking up. Like this will be kind of a worm's eye view where we're gonna have chow, the door just chka opened, her like chow. I don't like that angle either. We can work on that a little more from thumbnail to execution. So she's going to be opening the window, or not the window, the door. A young Italian boy ambling by. This is 6 panels, so I think like doing just a classic 6 panel would be good. Like a double chin with a selfie. LOL JK. I'm not sure what that means. What was that in reference to? Okay, so Wilson grabs collar dialogue. Oh, looking up. Yeah. That's hilarious. Looking up from below. I could see that. Wilson grabs collar and dialogue. Okay, dialogue. So, young Italian boy. This should be like kind of want it to be like maybe we've got the kid here. I want this to be almost vaudevillian again. We've done this before on pages, but I think that would be funny. Man, my computer is lagging again. Okay. I think I need to just close these other roughs so it's not taking up so much memory. But the last thing you want when you're doing roughs is to like have like computer lag. Like it's so based on gesture. So young Italian boy ambles by. She's gonna be here because it's not like there's no stoop on their door. It just the door just opens. And what am I doing? Like would the door open outward? No. Door's gonna be interior. Or would it open outward? No. This was a dumb call on my part. Okay, let's rework this. Again, it's like way better to get this done in like a thumb than in a rough. And vice versa. Like it's better to get things done in a. So maybe we want to try like a different angle. It's going to be Wilson too. She'll have her hat. She's going to be like, cow. There we go. It's going to be interior opening inward. I just think that makes more sense. Okay. There we go. That's going to be more of the shot. Something like that. Here it's going to have her seeing the boy. I like the idea of her like kind of reaching over. Outside doors open inward unless there's a glass screen door that is modern. I'm sure about these old houses. Yeah, they open inward. I was just being dumb. Maybe here it would be good to have like a kid, just so it's not like as ridiculous. Maybe that kid's leg can be here. And then shwapa. Okay. here she's going to be saying grabs collar dialogue. Okay, so dialogue is going to be fetch the doctor, but it'll be here where she's saying fetch the doctor. I want her kind of Man, this lag is really annoying. Okay. Let's try. Here we go. There we go. And I want this kid kind of like, what? Actually, like his head should be kind of tilted back more. Like, oh my gosh. Huh? Okay. So that'll be fetch the doctor. This is going to be like thumbnail again. Okay, and then the next scene is going to be place his coin in palm. Whatever that coin ends up being. That was a weird call. That'll be the sausage fingered hand of the kid. And this will be, I kind of like the idea of that being kind of here. Maybe it's got like a little more, it's going to be from the other angle of Casa and the kid. Oh my gosh. This lag is going to annoy the shit out of me. Pardon my language, but look at, I think I need to close some stuff out. Okay. There's two things I can quit. Hopefully that helps. Okay. Oh my gosh, it's still lagging. Okay. So the kid is going to be running here if I can get my drawing to work without lagging. Oh my gosh. Wow. Okay. It's very irritating when you draw a line and it just lags. Okay. So that's my thumbnail. I like that as a thumb. Now we're going to get into our roughs, and I'm kind of glad that I copied this because that's actually kind of the perfect thing. I'm going to go ahead and save this, and I'm going to see if I need to restart Photoshop, which I think we've done in the past when we've had issues with this. So I'm going to go ahead and close out some of the stuff that I have open. Just double checking some stuff. Okay. So I have to restart. So that'll be a good time. Actually, Didi, I kind of needed a reminder on that. Oh, Frank Salazar is joining us. How's it going, Frank? Okay, so I'm gonna put on the trailer for 2 stories, and I'm gonna try to reboot Photoshop and see if that solves some of these lag issues. Because right now, like, that hasn't been too much of an issue. Oh, I should call this notes. Right now, that hasn't been too much of an issue, but when we actually get into real roughs, like that's going to be a real big problem. Like if it's being laggy. All right. So I'll be right back. And we'll put on the trailer for 2 stories. I appreciate everybody who's come, and we'll reboot Photoshop and see if that works. Meantime, here is the trailer for 2 stories. Okay, so now we're having problems still with Photoshop. My Photoshop actually froze. So let me try one more time and see if I can get this solved for you guys. And while you wait, I'm going to go ahead and put on the Jacob's Apartment trailer again, and then hopefully we're good to go. So bear with me during these technical difficulties. Clearly it seems that only in dreams can we see these things we've seen and walk around breathing I don't know the part to play in this heart of mine. There's dissonant things, they split at the seams. All right, so we have Casa Guide here. And I'm just going to try to get a good shot of it from the street view. So that's the doorway. Does that make sense? Like that doorway we're looking at right now? I want to be able to get a little further over here. And then I think that'll be a good angle to have the doorway. So that's going to be interesting to see if we can kind of get that from a good angle. That's the doorway I'm imagining it's going to be from. But it's this building. Dee was saying Google World, that is what was freezing you. Well, unfortunately, actually, that wasn't open when I was having the freeze. So this might lead to some real issues. because if I was having lags before, that this might lag just a little bit. Check that out. I just wanted you guys to know how big of a deal Elizabeth Barrett Browning is. Like, this is literally saying, hey, this is the residence of Elizabeth Barrett Browning. You know what I mean? Pretty cool. Let me see something real quick, too. Okay, good. Okay. Okay. We're getting there, you guys. Okay, and let me see my rough. Frank was saying the Brownings had really nice cars. I know, they're incredible cars. You should see their jet skis. Their Victorian jet skis are incredible. Okay, so my rough. Oh, I wanted it from above. Okay. So that actually works. Let's get over there. Pretty crazy building, you know? I mean, there's definitely some like matrix distortion going on there. Do we want to show it from... So when they're on the terrace, they're here. Okay, let's try a different tack real quick. I do like this as a... Well, you know what? For street view... Okay, there's a couple references we can at least pull from this. Okay. Let's get back in the street. Where is that kid? Okay. So I do like the idea of let's try one quick thing. That's pretty good. Okay. This may be useful. Whenever I'm doing that, I'm just kind of grabbing some screenshots that might be useful. If I'm the kid and I'm running in this area, that's going to be slightly useful. Morning, Gary. How's it going, buddy? How goes Dinosaurs versus Mars Bots? I hope I wasn't overdoing that bit when you were live streaming the other day. I was joking with Gary that the big conclusion of Dinosaurs versus Marsbots would be basically the two characters, like two of the main characters kind of turning to each other, and somebody would be like, man, that's crazy. That's some dinosaurs fighting some Marsbots. And then it would zoom in on the main character who looks a heck of a lot like Gary. And that character would say, no, it's dinosaurs versus Marsbots. And then he'd look at the camera, and then it would fade to black. And it would have the title appear that says Dinosaurs versus Marsbots. I didn't want to give away spoilers on Gary's stream about that. And he said, working. Work. Squatchy will be glad to hear that, Gary, said Dee Dee. Okay, I think that's going to do it for a little bit of the references. I want to look up Casa Guidi now just to see what comes up. The nice thing about Casa Guidi is it's just got like loads and loads of references. Oh, dudes. This is pretty darn good, guys. That's actually a really good shot. Oh. We're getting there. So this is the entrance, which is kind of good to see. Very good to see. I know it's thrilling, you guys. Frank said, I'm always working too, working on Gary's last nerve. Wait a minute. Gary, isn't Frank shadow banned? I can't remember, but I feel like Frank is shadow banned for some reason. Didn't that happen? So a lot of these references I have of like the interiors and stuff, it's excellent. Like there's so many resources for this place. But I think that that's going to do real good for that going to do real good right there. Okay. Aerial view of Casa Guidi. It's a lot easier than 50 Wimple. 50 Wimple was the tough part, you know. 50 Wimple was not an easy thing to find, you guys. Okay, let's get back to that Google Earth. Gary said, I keep forgetting to shadow ban Frank. And then Frank said, my kids are wondering what shadow banning is, LOL. How are the kids, Frank? Are they doing good? Okay, we're going back to Google Earth, guys. We're earthing that Google. Hopefully it remembers where we are. Where are we? I'm so lost in Italy. Okay. I think I want to be here. Let me get over here. Look at all these like awesome Italian scooters. I swear, like Italy could not be cooler, is all I'm saying. That's a pretty cool building too. Could that be their house? That looks way more fun to draw. I'm gonna draw that. And up there, that's like, I believe the back terrace or whatever. Anyhow, the terrace. Dee Dee said, I wouldn't ride a scooter to work with your commute. Hey, look, I am not a fan of scooters. I can say that. I think Corey and I talked about that for years on stream, and I was like, I just don't trust motorcycles. And after what happened to Corey, I'm like, there's no way in hell I'm riding a motorcycle. I even stopped bicycling. Is that nerdy? Corey gave me a fear of bicycling now. Because I swear it was like a week or so after what happened to Corey, I had like the fourth person tell me, like, biking in this area, you're probably going to get hit by a car. And I was like, I'm not going to test luck with a good friend of mine just having been through like hell. I don't want to go through it. Like I might be a little overly cautious about that kind of thing now. But yeah, I don't really feel like going through that nightmare scenario there. Now, wouldn't it be cool if you could like really have like full 3D? I mean, this is amazing. But wouldn't it be cool if you could have full 3D? I want to try a different angle. I'm not sure if I can. Trying to figure out how to rotate here. It's been a while since I've used this. Flip your location. No. I don't want to flip my location. There we go. That's what I needed. I want to have an aerial view of their it doesn't have to be perfection, But like just a little bit would be good. I don't want to do Voyager. I was just trying to figure out how I can rotate the view a little more. Okay, I don't know why that's rotating now. There we go. Oh, the internet's broken. You know what? That might just have to be That might just have to be what we start with. Oh no, it froze. My interwebs are dead. Did I freeze? Are you guys still hearing audio? Is that just Google Earth that froze, or did my entire internet freeze? There we go. Josh will be wearing VR and be the next Captain Goggles soon. I like this idea. VR does sound really cool. It really does. All right, that's going to be enough to kind of build it from, so that'll work. That's going to be our establishing. Oh my goodness, our establishing shot. I thought it was going to be our establishing shot. Try that again. And then we can kind of, I think we've done our research. There was one other thing. There were two other things I have to look up. Do you guys remember what they were? Or do I have to look at my list? I think I have to look up my list. Okay. What were the other things? I'm going to look at my list real quick that I made. Okay. We need to do, okay, we have the Casa exterior. We have the young Italian boy. We're going to look up a young Italian boy. So I need to look up a young Italian boy, and then I need to find out the kind of coin that would be placed in a palm. Like what kind of coin in Italy? What's like a 2 pence or whatever, like a cheap coin that they would give. Paul said, just posted my animation scene to Instagram. Now I need to round up the buggy and head out to the market. Might listen on the way. Cool. Congrats. I'll check it out on Instagram. I guess we should all check out Paul Pate's stuff. Okay, so Italian boy, 1840s. We just need a costume here, guys. Should it be this dude? Carlo Ferranti? I mean, this seems more like country, but, you know, I think Italian outfits at the time were much more colorful than England. Does seem like these hats were pretty popular. Peasants! Sorry, it just cracks me up like the old era where there was like this huge class divide where they'd paint somebody who was poor and call them, this is a painting of a peasant on a street. What are you doing today? I'm just going and drawing peasants on the street. But we're getting some references of Italian boys. Paul said, I really enjoy listening and watching your stream, but I feel like I should try to make some friends in real life. In real life? What's that? Said Dee Dee. Indeed. Hey, wait a minute. Paul, we can be friends in real life. You just got to come up and visit. You got to give a heads up next time before you come visit in person. Next time you and Jim get together, give me like a week or two ahead of time so I can make it happen and meet you guys. But yes, friends in real life are good. It's hard to do art. Like that's the problem with friends in real life. It's hard to do art. Like there's not a lot of people I know who want to just come hang out while I draw. That kind of works too. That's way later though. No. That's from the 1870s. I think we've got enough Italian boys. I think we've got enough We found some Italian boys. That's good. All right. What else? What else? Coin. Yeah, Paul said, yes, Josh, that's why I love this stream. Yeah, it's like, I think that's why I like doing live streaming. It's like, it'd be fun to have just like an art friend who'd just come hang out like while I drew. So that's what I can be for you guys. He looks not street enough. Yeah, I think there's a couple that look pretty street. Like, did this guy look? I mean, he looks pretty street. That's the one I'm thinking. It's like the Italian boy is like, hey, how's it going there? Be a shame if something happened to you. No, I'm just kidding. I should not make jokes about Italy. Okay, so yeah, Dee Dee said yes, that's the best one. Yeah, and she did say that other one looked a little more period. Yeah. I think that's the way to go. Although this one did look more kind of. Maybe I'll combine the two. Like maybe I'll use some of the color palettes from this. I do feel like from what I've seen of like Italy at the time was like that. Okay, we need to find out what are the what coins in Italy 1847. This is going to be terrible because I'm horrible at math, you guys. But yeah, Dee Dee was saying not a delivery boy. So this kid is supposed to not really be a delivery boy in this case. This is just a kid who's just walking past and she just goes, get the doctor, and gives him money. Although, maybe we could have it be a delivery boy. Yeah, I don't think that works. Okay. A Victorian. Hey. This isn't in Italy, though. Paul said, when you do your Italian boy imitation, I keep thinking of Mel Brooks' History of the World. Piss boy, oh piss boy. If you're not familiar, there's a kid whose job was to carry around a bucket. That's so funny. Well, it's just funny to me that like there's like painters at the time are just like, oh, this is a poor papa. Like the peasants, ew. Like just the word peasant is just like I don't know. Pardon my language, but it's kind of a shitty word to use. Like, can you imagine if somebody was just walking around and walked by you and was like, oh, these poor peasants? It's like, oh man, where do you get off calling people peasants? But I guess when people believed in like this kind of state assigned class system, it just makes me mad. Anyhow, that's the class warrior in me. Okay. Young boy ambles by, grabs him by the collar, runs away. Yeah, I don't know if we're going to see the coin, but I'm pretty sure we will. So, Italian coins, 1846. In 1846, currency used in Victorian Italy. The lira was the currency. Yeah, we need it before the lira. History of coins in Italy. Boom. Wikipedia. Yeah, so I don't know what the denomination is. I think it's going to be like 50 cents or something. Equivalent back then, so it'd be like a cent or half a cent. Early to modern. Okay, so it was the lira. Okay, so the lira was subdivided into 20 soldi, each of 12 denarii. And then it was replaced by the franc. Okay, reestablish of Parman independence. The lira was subdivided to 20 soldi or 100 centesimi. This lira was equal to the French franc and Sardinian lira, and it circulated alongside the latter. Weighed 5 grams and had a. Okay, let's see if we can find 1 soldi. 2 soldi. Harvey Korman relieved himself in the bucket and gave a tip by tossing a coin into the bucket. Wait, soldi or soldier? Oh, thank you. Dee said throwing some coin at Josh for some Italian drink of his choice. Awesome. Appreciate that. Super chats are nice. They help the channel keep going and help fund my research. Thank you. Yeah, I'm glad it wasn't thrown in a bucket full of piss, like Paul was referencing. Thank you, Dee. I appreciate that, and thank you to everybody who's watching and supporting the channel. I much appreciate it. It's very cool, very rad. Modern period. Okay, so wait, what's Sardin lira? Sardinian lira was the currency of Sardinia. You guys, this is fascinating. Yeah, okay, so this would be like the Roman Republic issued coins in 1866, the scudo. What were the papal states? Oh, see, this is why this is a problem. You guys, this is a rabbit trail because it turns out, you know how like she looks out the window and sees the unification of Italy thing going on? Now we're dealing with history, the complication of it. This is before the unification of Italy. So it's separated in all these different provinces. The hell province are we looking at? So now it's like each province has their own lira. This is one of the biggest arguments that people make about ANCAP arguments, weirdly enough, is when you have subdivided states, currency becomes really complicated because, like, if 5 different provinces have their own coins and, like, some provinces maybe aren't happy with other provinces, they aren't going to recognize that coin in certain provinces. So it makes travel really difficult. Like, the idea of unifying a currency has so much like benefits for like a large region like Italy, where now people can travel all throughout Italy and like each vendor is working on the same currency. Whereas like before that, imagine trying to authenticate like 50,000 different forms of currency. It's just really complicated. Anyhow, right now we're dealing with that in real life where we have to figure out what was the currency. Where's Casa Guidi? Okay, this is going to be fun. Dee said, I think a coin with a random profile would suffice. It would, but my goal is to get this right. It's the autist in me. I need to like hopefully appease people who are going to be okay. So Casa Guidi, what province, location in Italy? Let's look that up. Casa Guidi Museum is in Florence, I think. Here we go. Casa Guidi was the subject of her 1851 poem, Casa Guidi. That's the dog. We got Scotch and Bernie barking. That's a good call. That's cool. So Casa Guidi used to be in horrible shape, and then it was donated to Eton College. That's cool. Okay, it is the end of PT Palace. Florence, Italy. Let's find out. Okay, Florence was run by the Medici family. That's the family that commissioned all the amazing historical paintings that we've seen for this day. Capital of the Kingdom of Italy. Okay, so what kind of coin was used in Florence? So we know we're talking about Florence. Was Florence a papal state? Boom. Florence was the prefecture of the French department of Arno in the fall of Napoleon, blah, 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 blah. Congress of Vienna. Florence replaced Turin as Italy's capital. Okay, so right now it's the throne of Florence was the prefecture of the French department of Ammo. Okay, that's not it. So the Habsburg Lorraine dynasty was the throne of Tuscany. I like it. Paul said, I think you should draw a copper penny with the face of Abe Lincoln on it and see if anyone catches it. Give a special shout out to everyone who does. Maybe I could have it be Abraham Lincoln winking, you know? It'd just be for people who are in the know. Tuscan, boom. You guys, it's not impossible. The Tuscan Fiorno. Dude. This is what I love about, like, I know it's weird, but it's like I could have thrown in the towel. I don't know how long I've been streaming now. I could have thrown in the towel, guys, but I spent 10 minutes longer and I found the coin. And it might be the wrong monetary amount, but I found the freaking coin. Look at that. You see that coin? You see that, dude? And you know what's funny? If you look at that guy's hair, like he has a chin beard too, just like Robert Browning. It's like it's a sign from the heavens. That happened thanks to Dee Dee's wonderful donation. So thank you, Dee Dee, for helping me get there. Let's get this stream back on track to some artwork now. What do you guys think? Oh, wait. Let me cross check. Well, here, let's see if we can, let's cross check our list. And what's weird here is it looks like the video capture here is stuck. So let's get it back on track here. All right, there we go. Gary said, it's a sign from the papal state gods. Yes, thine papal states. I think the word papal is a funny word. Okay. You guys, we're in good standing to get rocking on some art. Whew, we did it. Okay, so now I'm in good standing to actually get going on the roughs. I'm going to save, and then we're going to get going on the roughs. But before I do that, I've had to restart my Photoshop. I've had to do some crazy research. I'm going to disappear for 2 seconds and get some nicotine. So, and probably a refill. Actually, I'm out of coffee, so. But I'm going to finish this page and then I'm going to do lunch. So let's make this happen, this rough. But before that, I'm going to put on a trailer. I think the last one we looked at was Jacob's apartment. So we're going to put on trailer 2.1 of 2 stories. Here you go. We found it. I'm gonna noodle on my guitar for like 3 seconds just to like get my brain reset. Okay. I am not well, actually, yeah, I'm totally procrastinating. Let's get into it. Okay. Hope you guys enjoyed that little uh noodling, nothing in particular on my guitar. All right, let's do this. We're gonna call this lines, and then we're gonna get into it. So let's see the screenshot that we had. That's lovely to have. And I do like playing guitar. That was one of my passions. I am by no means like basically, Gary, if your girlfriend is in the room, just tell her to leave at that part of the stream, because a professional musician who would hear me noodle on the guitar would be like, blah, it's so bad. Like I'm an okay guitarist for somebody who doesn't play guitar. But if you play guitar, you just be like, man, he knows some open chords and some power chords, which is all you really need to know for punk rock. But anyhow, point being, oh, that way you have the whole street covering 6 panels. Could that be a thing? That would have been pretty cool. I did do a couple pages ago. There was one where I did do some fun stuff. With like the build, sorry. When you're sketching, Gary, do you have this problem too? Like, this is why I can't have like guests on when I'm doing this part of the art, because like my brain gets in a zone where I can kind of like, again, I think out loud, so I have an advantage in that sense. There's a lot of artists who don't think out loud, and so like even talking while doing this would be really distracting, whereas I can kind of talk through my process and like talk about the weird things that are, occurring in my brain. But if I had to hold a conversation right now, it would be like untenable, because it's like, again, like I get, my brain will get distracted. Whereas I can manage the chats a little bit and kind of do that while I'm doing roughs and stuff. But like, this is definitely one of those phases of like the creative process where like to get in a conversation with people would be like just almost close to impossible. Whereas if I'm coloring, I could totally do that, which is something I need to bring back to the streams because I really enjoy having conversations with people. But like, yeah, anyhow, I had one of those space out moments where I was just like, was trying to answer a question. And yeah. Gary said, yeah, I wouldn't be able to do it. It's why not a lot of real serious work happens on my streams. And then Dee said that's one of the things that makes a good stream, Josh. Yeah. Yeah. But if I can't, like I really do enjoy getting in dialogue with people too. But again, like that's going to be on future streams when I'm doing full color stuff. but yeah, it's one of the few. Maybe Dee Dee can relate to this, but it's like like I wonder how many people who do streaming have been told in life that they talk too much, because I definitely have. So streaming's kind of ideal for me in the sense that I tend to ramble and talk a lot anyway, so it kind of works out to my advantage. It's like it feels it feels like a good. Um, Gary said, even back in college, I would mostly just sketch and bullshit with people in art class, and then do my assignments at home. Yeah, it depends. When I was in grad school, like I would have really great conversations with friends while I was cartooning. But again, like if I had to do hard drawing work, I would usually try to do that ahead of time or at home. And then, I could do like inking or coloring, you know, with people in the room. But this is just a rough. So again, we're just kind of roughing out what's going on here, guys. Ba 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 ba. I like these circular or kind of semi-arch things. Anyhow, what I was saying is I did do some pages where it shows the front of 50 Wimple Street, and the whole building is kind of behind the panels, a couple streams back. So that is feasible. Um, there is one little sequential thing that I want to fit in if I can at some point in this book. If there is ever a sequence where people are moving, and I think there is coming up, where people are moving throughout a building to like different rooms within the building, I'm always looking for an opportunity to do that Frank King kind of cutaway thing. I did a print a while back for it was like a exclusive for Relief Mag, where it was it's like the Relief Journal. They're like a collegiate like poetry publication, and they do like short stories and short fiction. And the editor for that uh, published a comic that I did that was a poster comic where it's called The Park. You can get prints of it on Society 6, but it's a big poster where basically it's one scene of a park, and then you see time. Each panel that's over it has time progress over the park. And that's kind of using the Frank King thing that Frank King used to use in Gasoline Alley all the time. But I would love to do that for a scene where, a scene where basically we have like a room where people are walking from different rooms to different rooms, where like you have almost like the whole thing is like a cutaway where the panels themselves could be the scene, and then like throughout the whole panels you'd have the whole scene, and then each panel would be a movement within the scene. It's a thing that I've seen Chris Ware do multiple times. There's another great cartoonist, I'm blanking out on their names. It's a husband and wife. They've been publishing comics for a long time. They got an Eisner a few years back, but they're called Coin Op, and they do a lot of that too, that kind of cutaway overhead view of it. uh it's a cool comic tactic, but I haven't found I don't think this would be um the right zone to kind of see it in, but I do think that at some point that is something I will utilize in this, because I'm always looking for opportunities to get kind of creative with paneling. um and that would be a fun thing to do. Dee Dee was saying if that's going to be in panel 4, it looks too much like panel 1. No, no, no. That's just my reference for panel 1. That's going to eventually disappear. Um, I am just, you know, as I'm sketching these things out, I like to leave my references right next to what I'm sketching out. And it might be good to have some people in this sequence too. Like I don't want it to seem like it's a just a sparse location or something. Maybe even some maybe even having just like a just to keep people in the time period. Maybe we can even have like a little like horse and cart. Again, this is a rough page. Oh, Dee Dee said, I didn't see your lines moving. Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, so we're almost there. I like the idea of like maybe a horse and buggy here. Maybe we can have some, maybe we can have the kid here. Like maybe we can have like a little indication of the kid here. And then maybe there's like some people walking that'll be kind of walking in this direction here. Just so that we're not like, again, it's like a busy street. It's not this crazy impossible thing. And then this is going to be like a cobblestone road. It's next to their sidewalk kind of thing. So we're just kind of working out the rough. Dee Dee said, I missed a time jump not seeing your end to the previous page. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I showed them at the beginning because I had worked on these yesterday. But here, let me show you the last few pages that we have just so we can get there. So basically, in the story, we have here, I'll open these up and show you, but sorry, my Photoshop's taking a while. Okay. So on the page before this, they're at Casa Gaidi, having kind of a romantic moment, and then we pan forward to this marketplace that's outdoors. Elizabeth falls over. Wilson kind of helps her up. This vendor's mad because his apples got knocked over. Then Wilson kind of tells him off. He gets the barrel so she can sit on it. She wipes Elizabeth's forehead. And then we pan forward to inside of Casa Gaidi. She's writing these letters and getting more pregnant, and then it ends with them on the rooftop with the sunset. So those are the last pages. Now we're working on page 30, where we're going to show the exterior of Casa Gaidi. And then we're going to have, I have my thumbnails here, but we're going to kind of work it out and make it work. So, okay, that was our reference of the building. I'm going to call this layer building 2. And then Dee Dee was saying no protest in the streets. Yeah, the protests were a while ago. So that was these wonder if I can pull these up. So that was during this sequence, which is like back in page 25. So that was this page, right? Where it's like she's kind of like, this is when we end up in Casa Gaidi. She wakes up, walks to the window, and then we see the outdoor protest. And then Dee Dee said, I missed yesterday's drawings. Yeah, it's not too crazy of a sequence. Some of these I did off stream too, so that makes sense. So then I did some of these on like Artcasters too, but it's like, so then from there, we go to they're looking out the window. It's kind of a more romantic moment. And then it was kind of creepy that I had them with their eyes open. I'm a weird person. When I kiss people, I actually tend to kiss with my eyes open. Is that insane? But that might be like I don't know. It's a weird thing. So anyhow, boom, that was adjusted so that it's more normal, because I think most people kiss with their eyes closed. So there you go. That's the weird thing. And there we go. And that's a strange admission to make on stream. But whatever. So yeah, so now that brings us to kind of, then they're in the market, and now it's like back at Casa Gaidi. But that's what the protests and stuff were in reference to. Dee Dee said, "What does Mai think about?" Well, obviously she has no problem. We have a kid, so it's never been an issue for her. But anyhow, so let's see here. Let's see. We've got the building, the kid. I have Wilson's costume somewhere here. I need to find it, unless maybe I didn't bring it. But I want her Italian costume to look at. But we're 1/6 of the way through, guys. We haven't drawn the peasants yet. those peasants. I feel like when you say the word peasant, you have to be like peasants. Like you have to sound like a strange British person. Even though technically we're in Italy here, I have a feeling those old paintings were of. Did I not bring those over? All right. Let's get back to those old roughs. Ye old roughs. Let's open them up. We got to find. I just have to pull some of the references that I had. Really, just one of them. So we have our new costume is somewhere. Where is it? Not that one. That was cool Italian costumes, though, from the time. Come on. Where are you? Where are you? I know I have ones of Wilson. Just have to find them. Wilson! I do think there should be like one panel where Wilson, instead of being a maid, is a volleyball. That would be okay. That is Wilson's Italian costume. Okay. If you don't like it, too bad. All right. So we got our lines. And I need to pull open that other, because we found a bunch of cool references of the front of the building. And look at that. You notice how the direction that those doors open in for the front? You guys see that? That's right. They open back. It's not like you guys didn't know that. I just was being a dumbass when I did my first thumbnail and had forgotten that. So we're going to have Wilson here. She's going to be sort of unsettled and opening the door. Her hairstyle's obviously not going to match that lady because it's Wilson. So she's got more of this kind of longer hairstyle, but she's going to be She is concerned. She's going to have her outfit. She's going to be pushing that door open. And her arm should be back, not forward. Why am I drawing it forward here? Pushing that door. Push that door open, Wilson. And I did like my thumbnail kind of clarified that she's going to have her arm out here. And we're going to see it do a little bit of crazy foreshortening here, you guys. Not that crazy of foreshortening. That would have been insane. And don't like that. It's actually, let's see if that's radius on that side. Yep. Again, these are roughs, but at least we're establishing kind of a little bit of that. That arm is out of control. We got to kind of correct that. What was I thinking there? Just trying to, yeah, that's better. Paul said, if you were illustrating an action sequence like a fight scene, would you make the sound effects while you're drawing it like I do? 100%. I mean, even when I was drawing her face, I kind of do like a, I think it's inevitable when you're an artist, you're going to kind of have these moments of that sort of thing for sure. So, okay, we've got Casa Guidi. The doorway is going to be opening. I want this like to be here. But yeah, I've definitely had that moment where you're like, and there is some action that's going to come up. I don't know if you guys know this, but like this plot is not just a romance. This is a romantic suspense. You have to realize when you get this comic, right? These first 30 pages are going to go real quick. So it's like the creation of it is like going through all that in slow motion. But right now we're just doing all the setup before we can get into the cool, crazy, seance-y, mysterious, amazing stuff. Like this isn't bad stuff. Like this is all very sweet and historical and great, but there is an element to this. You guys, there is a huge reason I took up this comic that goes way beyond just it being about the Brownings. It's not just that it's about the Brownings. This is going to cover stuff about the Brownings that no one has written about. and it's full of intrigue and suspense and excitement. And this is just the tip of the iceberg, guys. And I think the thing I love about this comic is it's already interesting, but it gets so much cooler just from a story point of view. There's oh my gosh. This goes from being like a Jane Austen novel to like Jane Austen, I don't know, like almost like the best feeling you get from a really good Sherlock Holmes, or like a Hitchcock film. It's pretty amazing. I'm really excited about this. We're gonna have the Schwapa. Wait, that's not the movement she's doing. That's the movement she's doing. Whop. But that is funny, Paul. I think that's funny that you do that. Those action sequences. Oh, we were gonna have the kid. Where is our kid? Where's our kid, guys? Where's the kid? There he is. Yeah, it's me. I'm the Papa kid. Wait, what? Who said that? He's like, yeah. See, I'll tell you what. I'll go to the hospital. I'll go get a doctor. See, but it's gonna cost you some scratch. That's I don't know why he's talking like that, but that's crazy. What a crazy kid that is. Wouldn't that be funny if that's like literally how that kid talks? She's like, you have to go get a doctor immediately, and the kid's just like, well, yeah, maybe I could do that. See, but it's gonna cost you. Yeah, talks like a 1920s gangster. Well, I don't know if I could do that. It's gonna cost you something. That's how paupers talked in the Victorian times. It's why you had to really in this era in time, you had to really be like rocking a Vespa, um, like a water Vespa, and welding an Uzi pretty much anywhere you went, because you would just never know. That's too hostile of a hand. It needs to be more just like, maybe it's just casual, like he's got his hand down. Do. It's a little kid's hand. He is a walking. All right. All right, you guys. That's going to be 2 panels roughed out. You know what I don't like about this? Actually, I don't mind it. At first, I was going to say I don't like that this is only taking up half of the page space, but actually, I think compositionally that works really nicely. I'm going to save. We're going to move over. Do you guys remember the Move Over Butter ads? I don't know if those still exist. There was an ad on television. I don't know when, like this. I mean, since I'm ancient in age, but maybe some of you guys can remember the. Do you guys remember the Move Over Butter ad? Or it would have like a song that was like "Move Over Butter." I kind of roughly remember that, but maybe I'm crazy. Okay, we have 2 panels done. By the way, Dee Dee, I'm not actually out of coffee. I mentioned that I was out of coffee. I'm out of coffee. Like I have drank all the coffee that I have brewed, but there is more coffee here. So I do plan to brew some new coffee once I finish this rough. Because once I finish this rough page, I'm probably going to break and have lunch too. But this page will get done pretty quick. Speaking of, though, I'm going to disappear to keep my thing alive, my power alive. I'm going to disappear for 2 seconds. So here is Jacob's apartment trailer. Speak clearly, it seems that only in dreams can we these things we've seen and walk around breathing things. I don't know the part to play in this heart of mine. There's dissonant things, they split at the seams. Oh, Dee Dee had said a few things. She said, I think a hidden volleyball showing behind a curtain would be a nice touch. And then she said she is way back there handing a letter to a boy. And then she said, yes, we noticed that earlier. And then Dee Dee also said, okay, gotta run. I will try to be back if you're on later. Bye, guys. Bye, Dee Dee. It was fun. And I hope you have a lovely day. All right, so we are going to rock this business. Gary, without revealing anything of your plot, like knowing that I know a little bit of where you're at in the script, how do you feel about it? Like, how is that beast that you're having to draw? Like, it's a beast of a time, I would imagine, that you're having. I'm curious how your progress is going, man. Sounds like a rough one is all. Like, not in a negative way. It just sounds like a very difficult thing. Here is going to be this side view right here. That's what we're drawing right now. Where and I'm probably going to basically, because this is a rough, I'll probably reuse this sequence in a second. I like doing these side shots for like vaudevillian gags. One of the influences on that that you guys should check out if you haven't, he actually used to be a friend of the show back when Kevin and I did Big Illustration Party Time. So there was this brief period of time where I actually knew this guy. I should probably reach out to him. You know what? I'm going to write that down. Reach out. To Roger. So there's this cartoonist that we had on Big Illustration Party Time a long time ago, like over a decade ago at this point. And he's one of my favorite cartoonists. His name is Roger Langridge. And he did, like, at the time we had him on Big Illustration Party Time, it was like right after he had gotten hired to do the Muppets comics. And just to give you an idea of how good at like vaudevillian sequential humor this guy is, they kind of approached him to do it, and I think from what I remember from our interview with him years ago, they basically just had seen Hotel Fred, which is a brilliant comic that he did, very good indie comic. And from Hotel Fred, I think they were just like, yeah, you can basically do whatever the hell you want with the Muppets. You write it, you illustrate it, and you make it your own thing. Like, just be true to the characters. They gave him kind of like carte blanche with the Muppets. But like, anyhow, point being, like, if you check out Hotel Fred, like, it's just a really good. It's like one of the perfect comics that you could do, um, to like kind of you can look at it to just get great ideas for like silent gag strips. He is so good at silent humor. I can't explain it, but it's like it's really hard to pull off. And Roger Langridge, I think, is probably one of the most, like, he's been nominated. He might have even won at this point Eisner Awards, and yet, like, I feel like he's still a very underrated cartoonist, for the amount of skill he has. But one of the things I love, he does a lot of very just straight on side views. Um, it's almost like an approach where you're kind of using the comic book panel as like almost like a window onto a stage, like the Muppet Show, where it's like it's very vaudevillian. But what I picked up from looking at his work that I totally use in my own work was that idea of like, when you're doing like kind of a slapstick bit in a comic and it's supposed to be somewhat humorous, I think sometimes like having a crazy angle to it can mess with the joke. Um, Whereas I think a lot of the time, like, you'll see this in a lot of Winsor McKay's work too, when he's doing more of a vaudevillian bit. He'll kind of pull away from using a lot of crazy perspective on those panels because you want to kind of focus on the movement of the characters. And that's where like panel repetition with backgrounds is like really helpful. I hope I kind of vocalized that okay, or explained that okay, but it's like I really am a fan of doing that. Gary said the beast is slowly getting there. I'm building him gradually, sort of a naked version, then all the fur and feathers, then the pattern, sort of a life drawing approach, figure, then clothes. Yeah, I think that's probably your best bet with that. Okay, so we're going to have this boy. The boy is going to be here. Before I do that, though, oh, you know what? The next one's going to be kind of a close up, so never mind. I do kind of think actually repeating the background would be good, so let's do that. Gary said he'll message me a work in progress, and I will not share that on stream because I know that particularly this part of Gary's story is very like, it would be like a spoiler that wouldn't be worth it, like for the reader, because like, and I will say this, man, like I'm really excited. I feel like Gary's Dinosaurs versus Mars Bots, which you guys can get, I believe, on Etsy. I think there's still issues up, right, Gary? But yeah, I tend to think that his issues just get better and better every time, and it's kind of awesome to see. Do you want this to have kind of the cobblestone a little bit? We might make this a repeating bit. I thought I was doing the vaudevillian thing here, and maybe I wasn't, to try to kind of exemplify the moment, but I kind of want to. So I'm going to try that and see if that works. So we're doing a background real quick. Nothing special. And then we're going to go ahead and put characters over it. Okay, so now we're going to have her. Here she's supposed to be kind of like, she's almost like at this point, her arm is here. It's going to be kind of looking around the corner. And I want her to have the bodice thing that it's like, I don't know what that's called, where it's like the dress is very high cut. And here we can have the kid. The kid is going to be here, just kind of, I want him to almost be like walking like casually, like he's almost going to be like swinging his arms, almost like do, like very noodly. Like his hand's going to be like that. His other hand's going to be back. Like he's not even really breaking a sweat jogging or anything. That's really long arms, so I might shrink him down. But anyway, he's going to be kind of like almost just like strolling away. Yeah, okay, so I like the kid so far. He's going to have his jacket on because we want to kind of mimic that outfit. And again, part of why I do like my references or whatever, like at this point, is like it's like I love to look up reference photos at the rough stage, because then when you get to the final stage, there's like no research to do. It's just plug and play and draw, you know? And I'm a big fan. This came out of like Corey Kerr talking about kind of modalities and like the brain, like the task switching penalty. Something Corey talks about a lot, but I really firmly believe in. And I've definitely read about in, different books on like management and systems and stuff like that. Where, if I can get a lot of this like kind of research stuff out of the way, then like by the time it comes to like finalizing and drawing all this art, it's like it's a no-brainer. Like it's pretty much done, a done deal. Let's have a little bit of, okay. Now we're going to just get in here and erase out, putting them in the scene. I love it. And let's see if we can find these things. Okay. Wilson's here. What else? Thumbnail. My thumbnail can move a little bit. Move the thumbnail here, and then let's just take that list and turn it off. Okay, and go back to the line layer. Now I want to see Gary's work in progress thing. Checking it out. That is really awesome, Gary. Very exciting. Just knowing too where that's eventually going to go. So now we're going to do merge that down, and now we can do like the kind of vaudevillian bit here. She is going to be here. Being kind of Wilson. And I do like my my gesture here. That's kind of exaggerated pose, and I want to make sure I'm using that. And then we're going to have her, again, like that costume, but pay attention to the pose. That works. That looks amazing, Gary, though. The dinosaur that you're drawing there is just like, Okay. His head got ginormous, so we're going to shrink it down. Okay, and then we're just going to add some shading. So rough, but it's going to be important. And then we'll just do yeah, Gary said thanks. It's eventually going to get there. Yeah, that's one of those things, man, where it's going to be a lot of work, but I think it'll pay off quite a bit. You know, because the fact that you're being diligent and getting it done. You know, so this is going to say Prendi. Hold on, let's make this on a different layer. Prendi il dottore. Again, these are roughs. It's not that crazy. Like the nice thing about like the thumbnail stage is like once you get the thumbnails, you know, this isn't going to be as complicated of a page as some of these other ones, you know. Prendi il dottore, and then this is going to have down here. Let me see if I can clean that up a little more. Again, it's a rough, but it's like it'd still be nice to have it kind of more kind of worked out than that. And then here we're going to have it say merge down. Let's have this here where it says, I'll have a little caption. Fetch the doctor. Whew. The one thing that I'm seeing here with these roughs, and again, like this is why it's good to comp out your type in your rough stage, is that this is going to be much more effective if it's a little bit higher up. And the fetch the doctor can be more designed in there. Whew. Okay, so I think we're in pretty good shape now. Now we just need to find those coins. Where did I put those coins? Aha. Okay, we got our coins. This is going to be good for the thumbnail of her putting. Okay, we are going to put on the trailer for 2 stories, and then we're going to finish up this page. I think that's what we'll do. All right, guys, here's the trailer for 2 stories. Pretty fun times, guys. Okay, so now we're gonna do our child's hand is out. Let's see that reference again of our street kid. Where's our street kid's hand? Okay, that's good. Okay, that's gonna be good. So let's get back to our lines. We're gonna do and our thumbnail. Oh my gosh, why am I street kid nonsense? Move, kid, move so I can see. Okay. There we go. And we've got our thumbnail kind of invisible. Okay, that's all I need. We can move the street kid. Okay. So we're basically going to use that as a template. I kind of like that. So it's just going to be the kid's palm out like so. Draw a little kid's hand. Just got to think of my son's hand, basically. He's going to have his... And then we're going to have our coin. Which again, this is a rough, so I'm not going to have to get as in detail with the coin. But we looked up period accurate coin, which is going to be really useful for the final. And we're going to make sure we have some of that. It looks like there's like almost like a strap. And whoa, did I do that on the wrong layer? Did one of those lines on the wrong layer. I have no idea what layer. Guessing probably this layer or this layer. Yep, the coin layer. It's okay. That's doable to get rid of now. So let's do that more correctly. And then let's get in there and just do her hand, which is going to be 2 fingers here, placing the coin. And we're going to have her thumb. It's going to be the back. What was Wilson's costume again? We got to find it again. There's Wilson's costume. Oh, cool. Okay. Yeah, this is like short sleeves. So this is just going to be a bare wrist. Shocking, you guys. Shocking. This kind of thing is going to get me demonetized showing bare wrists. How dare they? I can just see like a letter to the editor, kind of angry type thing where it's like, this comic book showed wrists, showed bare hands. I know, Gary. I know that's what you were drafting right now was like an angry letter. You were like, dear YouTube, I am offended at this channel. They showed exposed wrists, exposed hands with no gloves, dogs and cats living together. Isn't that, it's funny, Gary, like your response to drawing the dinosaur and being like, yeah, thanks, it's going to get there. I feel like that's a big mentality shift that has to happen. This might be a good topic, but it's like, I think that's the mentality shift that has to happen to do comics. Like, I think if you stop for too long and consider the impossibility of what we do, you'll never make comics. You know, it's like there's a certain part of us that has to be like slightly delusional. Because like even seeing what you've accomplished so far on that panel, I'm like, as an artist, it's exciting, but it also is intimidating. Like it's intimidating. It seems like it's going to be tough. And it's like there's that part of us that somehow, even professionally as an artist too, you know, like there are so many times in-house where you'll be asked like by a client, or like let's say you're freelance, by a client, they're going to ask you to do something that you have no idea. Like if you really think hard about it, you have no idea if you can accomplish it. There has to be this like this has to be something cartoonists share. There has to be something in our brains. I think maybe I got to stop even saying cartoonists. I'll go as far as to say artists. There's got to be something in our brains that is crazy enough to be like, you know what? I can accomplish this thing. I can accomplish this crazy task. And I don't know what that is, but I think it's something worth mining or talking about. I'm sure I've probably talked about it before on here. But yeah, it's got to be a common thread, you know? Okay. I'm going to put my little thumbnail here, put a little white box underneath it so I can see it. And we're going to do this last panel, and then we're going to break for lunch because I need to eat. Okay. So I want to keep that kid up there, and then I think I want to find, is that the exact angle we need? Oh my gosh, what is the likelihood of that? You guys, I'm going to name this panel 6 angle. I love it. Okay, so we're going to do the rest of this page, you guys. And it is going to be glorious. Glorious. So this is going to be the kid. He is running in the foreground. He is urgently going to be seeking. I should probably do that in black rather than white. That would be good. This kid is going to be urgently seeking a doctor. And he's going to have this kind of Fievel Goes West style hat. I haven't seen that movie in forever. Do you guys remember Fievel Goes West? I wonder if it still holds up. My wife will occasionally sing the song from it. There Are No Cats in America song. So he's going to be just kind of here running in the foreground. Which arm did I have forward? That's it. I almost had his arm facing the wrong direction. I have the, you know that song, You Dropped the Bomb on Me? That is the song that has been in my head all morning, where it's like, do, 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 do. I don't know why, but that's what's been on my mind. And that's a great freaking song. So he's going to have. Got his patch. Boo doo 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 doo. Boo doo 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 doo. Do 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 do. Okay, now I just need the maid. Back here. And then this is going to have the doorway that we just saw. And it's going to have the window. Actually should be a little taller because he's a kid. John Coyote just joined and said, hello, how is everyone? John, he basically just completed a zine that I believe is going to be up for sale on his Etsy. And it sounds really cool. John, I feel like I didn't write it down the last time, and I really want to pick it up. So is it available right now? And it's under John Coyote Art, correct? I want to make sure I get that right. In fact, maybe I'll write it down this time so I don't forget it. But yeah, it'd be fun to check out your stuff. So we're basically wrapping up the thumbnails for this page, where this poor boy has been accosted by a maid on the street and told to go get the doctor. Now the kid is running rampant forward into the universe. So now we're going to turn these off, the thumbnails and everything, and add some shading. So she's saying, Prendi il dottore, fetch the doctor. And then she gives him some change, and he's off to get the doctor. But I do need to add some shading. I need to throw some shade on this business. He said, John Coyote said, it will be this for sale this week at my store. My name is Coyote Sunset. Here, let me share that. So I'm going to write that down too so I don't forget it because I want to pick it up. And that's what it is on that's what it is on Etsy as well. Because I'm curious to see Coyote's work. All right, so we're just going to add a little bit of shading just to kind of establish some lighting. Definitely going to have more of like Going to recede into darkness a little bit back here. We're sort of establishing this rush of a mood. And I think that run, small child, run. Yeah, and I'm hoping that that second and the third and fourth panel will be funny, a little bit, because it's like she's basically. I mean, she's basically like, I don't know. I think it's funny. I think that panel sequence is funny. I think because it repeats the same background, it creates a little bit of humor in that situation. All right. That will do it for the rough for page 30. And I hate to do this like John, just as you're joining us, but I'm going to break for lunch. I've been going for about 3 hours. And then I am planning on doing 2 more thumbnails today. So I might be back on stream. What happened yesterday was I ended up doing the 2 other thumbnails and roughs that I needed to do off stream because I was watching like Adam's channel and I was watching Gary's stream and stuff like that. So hopefully this time, if I return, maybe it'll be on my stream. If I'm not returned, I'm probably lurking in somebody else's live stream while drawing. But we're going to finish these 3. And here's the thing. How do you know when I'm about to go live or when I'm about to start a live stream, just in case, so that you can keep track and you don't miss out if I am about to hop on? Make sure you hit that bell. That'll give you notifications when we're about to go live. Also, make sure you're subscribed to my channel. Thanks to everybody who showed up and hung out in the chats. And thanks again to Dee Dee for the super chat. That was really cool. Thanks to Corey. I think we had Paul, we had Frank, we had Gary. We had like a full house of people here. Dee Dee. Let me see who else showed up. Did we have anybody else? Anyone I'm forgetting here? Well, and then John. So thank you, John, for hopping in. And I hope you guys have a good lunch as well. If you haven't had lunch, go out there and eat. And I like John Coyote's stay hydrated. That's great. I am super hydrated right now, you guys. I am so hydrated. Anyhow, so all right, have a good night and be safe and yeah, enjoy yourselves. Have a productive art day, and I'll see you guys after lunch. So maybe in an hour or so, I'll start another stream. Bye.